Hi there, you're watching Rebel Scum Skates. I'm T-Bone, and today we're going to be looking at my skateboard collection. Part 1, we're going to start off with the boards I ride in order of when I acquired them. Let's start with the Ripper. This is an awesome board. I got this in 2021. I think it came out in 2020. This is 30 by 10. Got Indy 169s on this. I've set it up with 1/4-inch riser pads, kind of an era accurate setup. Got some wrap bone 85As, pretty soft and huge wheels by today's standards. These are 60 millimeters. This was one of the first real boards I got as a kid. I had a red one. Got it in 85, the fall of 85. That had so many good memories for me. I think I learned how to ollie over a curb the first time on a Ripper. Would have been very similar to this. I mean, this deck is essentially the same deck. The shape, dimensions, concave, and tail are pretty, as far as I can remember, exactly the way they were. So, you know, if you're looking for like an old school setup and want something like classic 80s, you can't beat one of these. It's a great cruiser. The soft wheels, it just rolls over anything. It's got such a smooth ride. For just pushing around, this is an amazing board. Maybe not the best board for the skate park. I mean, I occasionally take it down to Ashbridges, but I mean, the thing weighs a ton. Anyway, it's a beast. I love to ride this thing. Excellent cruiser all around, and all-time classic graphic by VCJ. Let's put this away and take a look at our next board. Today we're mostly going to be talking about boards that I currently ride in my collection, and this was the second reissue I got in the summer of '87. I got one of these. It was Bonite, and I think I had it for 2 weeks and I cracked it on an air ramp. I was probably not landing it properly because that happened to like 3 other boards that summer. As a fan of Kirtland Johnson's artwork, this is another VCJ piece. I love it. A lot of people call this the street cab or the cab with bats. The version I had that came out in '87 had the dragon on top. This has the Ripper with wings, sort of like a hot pink. It actually reads more as an orange. Pretty loud board. I've got it set up with some Indy Stage 11 159s. What are these? Are these 58? No, these are the bigger ones. These are the 60 millimeter 88A Dragon formulas. I used to have these on my Guerrero. These are kind of huge wheels for kind of what is essentially a mini cab. Instead of setting it up era accurate, at one point I had it set up with wrap bones, as I do kind of like to set up boards era accurate. What I find is when I just like to ride them, I like newer wheels, and big fan of the Dragon formula, and I thought it kind of made sense. Dragon formula wheels, Dragon on the board, a little bit matchy, guilty as charged. Yeah, this is a great board, great to take to the park. I love the shape, a classic '87 board. I think this reissue came out in 2021, and I picked it up around 2023. Take a look at our next board. Okay, this is a 2021 reissue of Ray Bones Rodriguez, aka Skull and Sword, by Powell and Peralta. This is a beautiful teal color. This was the third reissue I got, and that was kind of like once, you know, I think I was getting into collecting them at this point. I've got 1/4-inch risers on this, some Indy 169s. I used to have Dragon wheels on this. I put the wheels that were on that cab onto this. They're the Ray Bones 58 millimeter 90As. You know, a little bit matchy, but why not? I wanted to flip things around when I was cleaning out my bearings, so I put these in them, and I thought, all right, it's a Ray Bones setup. I got the Ray Bones wheels, Ray Bones board, classic VCJ artwork. I love it. Great cruiser. You know, a lot of people sort of say, is there a difference in shape? You know, the pig shape feels like they're all kind of the same, but really comparing this to the Ripper, which is a similar shape, It has a very different ride. It's not as wide. The Ripper at its widest is 10 inches. This is more like 9.75, maybe even. Why don't I measure it? Where's my ruler? Where's my ruler when I need it? At its thinnest, yeah, actually it can go even like 8.75 at the tail, and then at its widest, it's like just under 9.75. Compared to the Ripper, it's like almost like a mini, and it's got a shorter nose. I'm looking over at the Ripper. The Ripper's got a longer nose. They probably have the same kind of wheelbase. This board has an amazing ride. Unlike the Ripper, I'll take this down to the park. There's just something great about it. I love this board. All right, let's take a look at my next one. I'm gonna kind of do these in the order I got them. So I got the Ripper, then the Cab, then the Skull and Sword, and then this Series 15 Lance Mountain. Lance Mountain, ladies and gentlemen, one of my all-time favorite skaters, just a hero of mine. I'm sure everyone kind of remembers, you know, the first Bones Brigade video with Lance skating down the street, going to various spots around LA. And as a kid, you know, watching guys like Cab or Tony Hawk or McGill doing vert stuff, you know, when I was a kid in the mid 80s, didn't even have access to a half pipe. You were kind of just street skating, and just seeing what Lance Mountain did, it felt so accessible. Like you were just watching him going, okay, like, yeah, I think I could do a frontside boneless over a parking block. That's not like, it's not like watching Tony Hawk do a McTwist on a 10-foot ramp. It was right around the time I got a decent skateboard and got into skateboarding. I remember watching that and just, I was in. I was like, all right, let's go for it, man. Like I love it. I'm gonna be a fan for life. I have this sort of set up, pretty much era accurate. I've got some 90A rat bones. I've got Indy 159s on this. I do have riser pads, 1/4 inch riser pads. Got some Bones rails. I kind of gave it the grip tape job, the round thing. I'm actually regretting that now. I would have liked to have just gone straight. If I could go back in time, I might change that. Because it had a numbered edition. This one's number 30 out of 3000. It had kind of like a little Bones Brigade hologram on that. I thought I'd cut that out of the grip tape. I thought that would look cool. Another one of my all-time favorite graphics. I never had one of these when I was a kid, but a friend of mine that I skated with had one. He had a silver one, and it just fucking looked cool. One of my favorite boards to skate. I'll take this down to the park. I'll take this out street skating. Those 90A rat bones kind of roll over anything. This Lance, I love it. Series 15, artwork by VCJ. Great skateboard, I love it. Let's take a look at our next one. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Tommy Guerrero, Powell Peralta, Series 16, artwork by VCJ. Black with gold foil, sword, and flames. I'll be straight up honest. I'm not crazy about this iteration of the Guerrero shape, the pointy nose Guerrero. I like the rounder Guerrero, like the original sort of sword and flame that came out. But this shape actually won me over. I really like riding this summer. This has a great concave, great kicktail. I've got it set up, got a little line to kind of remind me where I might want to put the front of my feet if I'm doing an ollie. This setup, I've got Indy 159 stage 11s, 1/8 of an inch riser with 1 1/8 hardware, which is, I think, the perfect balance between not using a riser and using a riser. I do like some of the, I mean, maybe it's in my head, but I feel like there's some level of shock absorption. I've got 58 millimeter 93A Dragons. For all intents and purposes, this is a modern crossbow. So if you're doing a retro setup and you like those wheels back in the day, that's what I'd recommend. This is one of my this was my board all last summer. I got this at the beginning of the summer and pretty much rode this non-stop all summer as my kind of retro board. One of the reasons the Guerrero is so special to me, I had a blue one back in like the summer of Animal Chin. And you know, Tommy Guerrero is just such a huge influence in the same way that like Lance Mountain kind of blew me away in Bones 1, the beginning of Bones 2 with Tommy Guerrero street skating through San Francisco. I always just thought Tommy Guerrero was a super cool dude, awesome skater. Love this graphic, love this board. It was like one of my favorite boards when I was a teenager, and 40 years later, still one of my favorite boards. Love the gold and black of Series 16. Great skateboard, one of my favorites to ride. Let's put this one back and take a look at our next guy. So next up in my collection is what I call my modern setup. You know, I like to have a retro setup and I like to have a modern setup that I'm riding at any given time. And this is a Andy Anderson flight deck. This is the big one, 9.1 width at its widest by 32 and change, I think. I've got some Indy Stage 11 169s with 93A 58mm nano cubic wheels. This is basically like similar to his setup that he would take to the Olympics, minus the 93A wheels, and Anderson would be riding the 97A. I like to also be able to street skate. I can't ride down the roads of Toronto with 97A wheels. If it was 100% exclusive to the skate park, sure. I like the best of both worlds. I mean, these wheels aren't super vibraty and I can roll down the street and they feel pretty fast for my level of skating at the skate park. I think Andy Anderson is like one of the most amazing skaters around right now. Watching him skate is like, it blows my mind, and he seems like a really nice guy. And hey, artwork by VCJ after all these years, so there's something really cool about that. I love this skateboard, I love this design. This is what I take to the skate park when I want to work on a trick or learn something or improve myself. You know, super lightweight considering it's huge, and just a great skateboard. So yeah, Andy Anderson flight deck, Powell and Peralta. What a great skateboard. I'm just gonna, let's put this away. So that wraps up part one of the walkthrough through my skateboard collection. Stick around for part two, where I'll be looking at more skateboards, talking about them. It'll be rad, trust me. T-Bone signing out.
You rebel scum.